Well, we have a big election coming up. Also, we thought today we'd do some history reflection about what has happened in some of our past elections. I'm Eric Sapanik, this is John Caro, and this is the Gold Spot. So, what we want to start off today is obviously we have in our lifetime the biggest election that we have ever seen because it's so the two sides are so fundamentally different. Nobody right now is really talking much about our deficits or our spending. You're hearing chirps about it here and there. Elon Musk has talked about it, but nobody on the political side that's saying, hey, guess what? This out of control debt and spending can become a bomb. But there was a bomb that blew up years ago. The Great Crash of 29 had the American public very upset, which led to the election of 1932, Franklin Roosevelt versus Hoover. Now, obviously, as history has shown us, Hoover lost that election. And then when Mr. Roosevelt became our president, some of the largest changes in our financial future would happen right then. John Caro is going to tell you a little something about that.
The day after Roosevelt was inaugurated, Congress passed the Emergency Banking Act on March 9th of 1933, which in effect allowed for the shutdown of the banks, the reopening of the banks, all at the whim of the president. The idea was to stabilize the banking system. And Congress passed that act without reading it, something we've gotten used to these days. And then on April 4th, very quickly, Franklin issued an executive order ordering all Americans to turn in their gold. You've heard us talk about this in the past. This set the stage for where we are today. In effect, our money was taken off the gold standard, which was formalized again by Nixon. But the result was the federal government really had no brakes on its spending. And what we are seeing today is the ultimate evolution of that. Money is digits, money is a concept. There's no penalty for overspending. In fact, the government is encouraged to increase the money supply over and over and over with no recourse on the part of the individuals.
And I think something else to add to that is the fact that the Emergency Banking Act that was passed was something that didn't just come and go within a few years. Right. It was a piece of legislation that would be used again and again and again over multiple presidents and multiple decades. Some can say that those powers were being abused or taken advantage of. Others can say it was in the better interest. It depends on which side of the platform you talk about when you talk about getting us to a fiat money currency system. By the way, the founders of our country were very anti-fiat. Fiat meaning that it's backed by nothing more than confidence in your government. So one of the things that we take pride in researching is what happened within this evolution. A lot of people don't know this, but gold is money. It is the reason why the dollar was the worldwide currency, is because we had most of the gold supplies after the Confiscation Act in our actual possession. And that occurred during the Bretton Woods Act, when we were able to actually convince Europe that we would be the dominant currency and what everyone would base their currencies off of. Now, at this point, obviously, we still have that emerged power of being the reserve currency of the world. But there's certain things that are challenging that today, and that's what most people aren't talking about. John, maybe a little bit about that.
Well, remember, back before Roosevelt issued his order, the law was all money issued had to be back 40% of its value by gold. Today, it's backed by the promise of a politician, by the promise of one country to honor the economy and the money, the fiat money of another country. And you see the struggle that, for example, the BRICS group is having. They want to have their own currency. They can't figure out yet which country to trust as their reserve currency, because none of them have really strong economies. And that just again shows us that when you fill a bubble with air, eventually it's going to break.
To add to that, one of the things that we have noticed with the BRICS nations is what are they bringing onto their shorelines? Gold. And the reason why is because if they do have trouble trying to figure out which particular country they should hitch the carriage to, they do know one thing: they can hitch their carriage to gold. It's worked time and time again throughout history when you have a hard money-backed system. When you have a fiat money-backed currency system, you get a $36 trillion deficit, which is running at over $1 trillion a year in interest alone. This is not something to take lightly. It's very important, and it's something that they don't want to talk about on the political platform because, number one, not our audience, but most people, it's going to go right over their head.
Well, and a lot of people don't see some of the reports that are published because they're in the financial news and they're boring. But I've seen reports where they've set up a bank in Hong Kong where the BRICS nations are buying gold, depositing gold in that bank, and then paying each other their bills with gold. This is going to end up not well for all of us.
I think that what we need to consider on the way forward is who at some point is going to start talking about putting the brakes on spending and actually treating our economy like it's a business. And you might think that it's going to be one candidate versus the other. We'd love to hear who you think's got the better plan right now and why. So feel free to go ahead, comment below, or go ahead and, of course, email us. We love this topic. We think that you would like us to talk more about it, but it's all up to you guys. So you guys let us know. Now, I think that you can probably, since John was almost there during that time, maybe John can end this for us today.
I think one thing that we have to keep in mind is we talk about plans and policies. It's not going to happen that way. We're going to go off the cliff. Somebody is going to put their currency on the gold standard without thinking about it, and the whole world economy is going to have to adjust to that.
Well, that is, I think, what it all comes down to. Is it is not everyone thinks about the U.S. dollar because we live in the United States. We love and live in the United States, but there's a big world out there, and we are not the biggest population of the world either, far from it. So if we found other nations all of a sudden taking that trophy away from us, being that reserve currency, where does that leave us as far as a nation that is riddled with debt? And with that, I will sign off. John, thank you so much for your analysis today. He's a smart guy. Join us next week on the Gold Spot.
If you enjoyed today's Gold Spot, like or subscribe to both our YouTube and Rumble channels. Also, comment below if you have any questions or if you'd like to hear us talk about a specific topic in a future video.